Okay, I'm back here with Jeff Wolfe. Jeff, say hello. Jeff, we have
Hello.
you here. You've been, you've been with us through a couple of different sections so far. So why don't you introduce yourself? Tell people, Cliff Notes version. Who is Jeff Wolfe?
So Jeff Wolfe, he's a very complicated person. I had a little trouble with my hair this morning, but it came out okay. Took some tips from Rudy there. Basically, I've been in the business for about 14 years. I'm a licensed contractor in California. Man, we do a lot of different things. I'm stumbling there. So we do a lot of repairs. We do service. I work for banks, real estate companies, and property management companies. So we do a lot of that. See a lot of different things, and learned a lot from all the pool groups that that I'm in. And really,
like 400. There's 407 pool groups now, I think.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
Well, maybe not 407, but there's more than 5. So there's a lot. There is a lot. So I have a really good habit of putting Jeff on the spot, apparently. We're learning this. We're just learning this as we go today. So one of the things I wanted to talk about, being that we have a little bit of time, right? 3:30 is when Fluidra steps up to bat, and they're going to talk about Department of Energy and things along those lines. So you're going to want to make sure that you're here for that. But right now, especially with, and I know nobody wants to hear about this chlorine shortage, so I'm just going to mention it once and we're going to call it quits, but especially with the chlorine shortage.
What? Sorry, what is it?
No, I don't even know what I said. So I want to talk a little bit about, I have a book and I also have some classes that I put out. And I want to talk about the classes because I think they're good opportunities for educating your team. There's a lot of free classes. We're building up, we're getting there. It's a new venture for me, but I did want to be able to put out some information that you could share with team members for free, take them through the classes, and they can learn a little bit more about some different things, actually get a certificate of graduation from attending the classes, and take some of the training off of you. I also have some pro level classes, and we're going to talk about that as well. Now, Jeff, this started with a book, and it started with a question. One of my students years ago asked me if I would put together a site where there would be vetted information, so that way they didn't have to search about the internet and wonder what was good information and what was bad information, because obviously the information that we put out there, it's only as good as the person who put it there. So they wanted a place where they could go, no problems. So I created a blog site. In that, I've been really trying to make sure that I put out something new each week. I have Jules Johnson. Do you know Jules? Jules, the pool girl from out in Mission Bend out in California. So she helps me out from time to time. She's written quite a few things. John Poem has written some stuff. Wayne Ivyasich. We got a bunch of different contributors and a lot of good information that is there. So the beginning of 2018, that's where this starts. I wanted to sit down and write a text sheet on algae. Just simple subject, something that everybody encounters. In fact, one of our biggest plights, right, is algae, keeping algae out of pools, how to prevent it, how to get rid of it. So I wanted to sit down and write up something the same as everything else, one page, one side of a sheet, a text sheet that we could put out that people could refer to if they needed to. Of course, everything I do, I like to have it research-based. I don't want anything to be based off of, just I think I remember, or I think I know, or this is the way that, I think it should be. So I started searching around, looking for backup on what species this algae is. What do we call it? What's its name? What are its characteristics? What are the water conditions that appeal to it? And I started to have a lot of trouble, Jeff, because I found a good amount of information on green algae in swimming pools. That was okay.
Sure.
Much less information on mustard algae in swimming pools, and then absolutely nothing on black algae.
Nothing.
In swimming pools. There was nothing at all.
Right.
So I could have written this text sheet and left black algae off, but that's a BS text sheet. You can't leave black algae off. That's the one we don't want to get.
Completely agree with that.
So I had to figure something out. So I decided, well, how hard can research be? Famous last words.
That's a whole nother thing, just so you know.
So, yeah, well, I'm a little off at times, but I reached out to several of my students that had taken my classes. I keep in touch with pretty much everybody, at least as much as I can, and asked if anybody had any pools that had black algae. And luckily, someone in Gainesville, the city that I live in, had a pool that had black algae. So I went over and I collected some samples. I brought them into the phycology department at the University of Florida, and there we put them underneath a microscope. And what we found was my black algae didn't have any algae in it, and it wasn't black.
Right.
This is where it begins. Okay, so what is it? What we found was 3 different genus of cyanobacteria matted together. So we had to tease it apart to figure out what it was. 2 of them were known to be toxin producing, and 1 was known to be nitrogen fixing, which is kind of cool because it can actually take atmospheric nitrogen and turn it into things that it needs and other algae can thrive on in the water itself. So 2 of these were known to be toxin producing. I opened a can of worms. I have to investigate further. I can't just say, hey, Jeff, you know what? 2 of the things I found were toxin producing. Because right now there's questions. So are swimming pools safe? If black algae is in a pool, are you going to die? You know, obviously we've swam in pools with black algae before, so I wanted to investigate it a little further. So I reached out once again, found another pool, took some more samples, and brought them this time to Cyano Labs down in Palatka, Florida, which is the leading cyanobacteria research center in the country. And we put those under a microscope once again. And again, I found that my black algae was not algae, but again was cyanobacteria. But this time it was a 4th genus completely. Not the same stuff I found in the pool in Gainesville. So 100 miles apart, I have 2 different black algae specimens that are made up of totally different things. Crazy, right? So anyway, I collected some more samples. Say again?
Which explains in some small way why you can't just Google something about it, because it's a different makeup depending on where you're at.
Well, it also explains why if you treat algae in one pool, it could be extremely successful, and then you could use the same method in another pool, and maybe it doesn't work as good because you're not treating the same thing. So unfortunately, this sample wasn't, I mean, unfortunately, it wasn't toxic, but you know, hey, so this one didn't contain toxins or wasn't known to contain toxins this type. So I was, again, on with my search. I found another pool 1 mile away from the first one that had black algae in it. If it's going to be the same stuff, it's going to be this one, right? Only a mile away. Bring in the samples again, a different makeup. But one of the genus were the same as I found in the first pool. One of the genus was the same as I found in the pool in Jacksonville. So 1 mile apart, we're finding out that the constituents that make up this black algae biofilm, which is what we can best call it, because other things do take harbor in there. It's not algae, right? The bacteria secretes this exopolysaccharidic secretion, which we're going to call the slime, and other things take harbor in there of safety. You can find Legionella, Naegleria fowleri, all kinds of different things that can be scary. So anyway, we run the tests. You have to find out the results in the book. You have the book. You read the book. Have you read the book?
I have read the book. I've got it right here, and it's bookmarked in some special pages.
Well, I would like for you, and you know, don't let me being here be a factor. I would like for you, I know where the mute button is. I would like for you to share with everybody what you think of the book. I mean, really, I tried to come up with something different. It started from the 1-page sheet. It evolved into this whole big thing. But what are your thoughts?
Okay, so
book in front of me.
Pretending, yeah, right. So pretending that Rudy's not here, you know, I bought the book because it was Rudy and he was promoting it. Quite frankly, but it's actually a really well-written book. It's got scientific information in it, which is really important. It gives some real solutions, which is important. And it's written in a way that is easy to understand if you at least have some common working knowledge of the pool chemistry and how to take care of it. If you've ever attacked any kind of algae problem or bloom before and understand the workings of just a basic working of just how to attack a pool algae problem, then this book is really super helpful for you.
So let me ask you this and everything. So in this book you have, because I tried to go about this a very specific way, which is exactly the way that I would hit these things in the field. Where are algicides in this book? What portion of the book are they in? Do you recall?
Well, I'm going to say most of it, but you actually let in with more basic pool chemistry and how things operate with pool pictures. Like, you know,
You can't, it's all invisible. I see a bridge.
it's all invisible, but
the
there's
truth is,
and it's pictures. There's pictures in it too for us
there is
simple
pictures.
guys.
There's lots of what I tried to do is I tried to approach it from the very, very beginning. What could lead to algae in a specific pool? And I try to stress that every pool is different. And I also try to stress that the best person to make decisions on site is the pool professional. That is the doctor bedside with the patient. The patient is the pool. But we need to look at all the factors first that could lead to an algae problem, because we need to take into consideration the conditions that different types of algae find favorable to grow. So I start with that and I work my way through that. And actually, algicides are at the back of the book, which is where they belong, because that should be the last result. Before we start dumping algicides in a pool, we should have tried everything else. Otherwise,
if you don't have proper water chemistry or balance, you can't. That's the best way to prevent it, which is what you're talking about.
Exactly. Otherwise,
what
pools
causes
are
it? What changes the different chemical factors? You know, your bubbles is the page I just popped it open to, and I mean, bubbles that's a really informational page. If you didn't know that already, that's a very informational page.
The majority of the book is inexpensive solutions where you're just basically tweaking things, right?
Right.
Which is what it should be. There's a lot of steps you can take that are cost-free to make sure that algae never gets there in the first place. And the easiest way to treat an algae problem is to never have it.
Right.
Because it's always easier to prevent than it is to kill. Yeah. So anyway, so we have the book. Buy the book. It's on Amazon. It's a good book. I put a lot into it, and I hope that everybody enjoys it. I hope it can be helpful. But I also, as part of this, and I'm going to share this with you now. Let me see if we can get there. Here we go. We're going to go into super secret incognito mode. Are you with me? Can you see this screen, Jeff?
It's starting. Yep, you're incognito.
Okay. So I have to do this because I'm actually logged into some of my own classes, but I want to take you to the website and show you. So you can log into it from anywhere, but once you start a class, it'll automatically just go into that class. So it's where are we at? Here we go. Not admin. That gives you the back end. We'll just do that one. Poolclass.teachable.com. That's where we want to go. So if I click on that, hopefully this will come up. There you go. That is actually my cousin's in Costa Rica. That little fellow came out of her pool and climbed up on the chair to dry off. So he's actually on every page because I just think that's a really cool picture. But if we scroll down this first page, it's all swimming pool education. This one's going to talk a little bit about me, but just for folks who don't know who I am. And see, Rudy is great. I didn't write that, somebody else did. But as we go down through, the most important thing is I want to come down. Here's a little bit about me, in case you want to know. But the classes that I have to offer are down here at the bottom. Right now, there's 4 of them. 3 of them are free. We have one on how to test water, one on how to calculate the amount of diatomaceous earth needed. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. This pertains more to vacuum DE filters than vertical grid filters. But if you run into one of those, you might need to know some things. And then we also have troubleshooting air leaks in pools, whether it's suction side, pressure side, and where to look at. Each of these classes, this is one of the free ones. If you click on that, it'll take you to its own page that tells you a little bit about that class, right? So we just scroll down. The class itself is down here. Choose an option. I would always check free if that's possible. So I'm going to, and then just to go to the enroll sheet. And once you go to enroll, now this class here, it's one video with several questions afterwards. I can't show you that without actually enrolling it. Well, actually, we can just enroll it. You guys already know my email anyway. So as far as the password goes, oh, good, it's hidden. How cool is that? I'll do it again. So let's get in there and see what we can see here. Maybe that.
I don't know why does it save the confirm part? That would be so helpful.
It would, but I think they actually want us to confirm it. So now I have to agree to something, and I'm going to sign up. And crap, I got my password wrong. So anyway, but you're going to have to trust me on. I don't have to sign into my own. Hey, I create the things on the back end. I've taken them myself, but you're going to have to trust me on this. So anyway, so that'll take you into the class, and that'll take you into the class for free. Obviously, the first time you're here, you're going to have to register. You'll come up with your own passwords, but then you can take all these different classes. The same thing, diatomaceous earth, how much do we add? How do we use it? How do we add it? Right? Going through a bunch of different sides. Take this pool here, Jeff. This pool here has over 200 rectangle grids in it. This is an entire job for somebody cleaning this filter.
Oh my gosh.
3 or 4 hours. I think it's 3 or 4 hours it takes to clean this filter when it needs to be cleaned. And it's on a wave pool, so it needs to be cleaned a lot. This is me in one here. I'm sitting in an old.
I was gonna say, I saw the middle picture not that long ago when I was looking at your stuff.
That's me. I was teaching from the filter. We drained it down a little bit. We're about to clean those grids. There's only 48 grids in this one, but it can still take about 30 minutes to clean. So these vacuum DE systems, they are totally different animals. But like I said, there's another free class here, free, that you can have your new hires register for. Of course, you know, vacuum DE is going to be more prominent in Florida, but they do exist outside the state. But I did want to have a class there on that. And then, of course, water testing. Water testing, the same thing. I don't just go through the functions of the test kit, although I do go through those functions. Half the class is on how the test kit operates and how we should use it. The other half of the class covers, water test interferences, the odd things that can screw up your test, what causes them, and what we can learn from them, which I think is something that you don't see a lot of people putting access out to. We know that, you know, water tests, how to do it. We know some things that can screw them up, but I actually have videos of the problems, and then also do talk about the different things that cause the problem so we can learn there. And it actually can give us more information about the pool if we understand the reasoning behind the interferences. So it's another learning opportunity. And then again, this one is also, you know, at no charge. So then we have this one.
On the interference, part of it. Now, full disclosure, Rudy, and you already know this, but I haven't taken that class, but I'd like to. And I think we should fix that. But testing in general, I mean, let's be honest.
You don't take any free classes either. So I appreciate it.
Testing in general is
super
critical, because obviously, you know, the whole basics of how to prevent algae in a proper pool chemistry. If you don't know the accurate proper pool chemistry, then you don't even know if you're starting from ground zero. 90% of the problems in a pool are really from an incorrect chemistry of some sort. Myself included. I mean, I don't claim to be a perfect person in any way, shape, or form, but if you don't know what the actual, yeah, that's exactly right. So you've got to know. That's a super important thing. First thing that somebody should do when they hire on a person, which I'm hiring somebody, so they'll probably be taking the class in the next couple of weeks.
Hopefully you take them first. But one of the things, well, you know, here's the thing. I know, you know, I teach virtual classes, and virtual classes are great. And I definitely like the one-on-one interaction. I think that's fantastic, because I like to talk to people, and I like to learn about people. And, you know, I've met a lot of really, really cool folks that way. But I also know that I can't have that interaction with everybody, whether it's due to timing, scheduling, time zone, all of those different things. And I think there is a lot of information I just wanted to share, and that's the main reason behind this site. Now, as far as the, you know, we were talking earlier with Water Shapes, and we said they had free classes and they had paid classes, and there's a lot more value in the paid class. Same thing holds true here. You'll get a graduation certificate for attending these classes, right? These free classes. But the Algae Prevention and Eradication Specialist, that is a certification class. You will be a certified algae prevention and eradication specialist when you're done. You'll get this logo that you can display on any of your marketing materials. Plus, then you'll also get the certificate. But the thing is, and that's also broken down into 6 different modules that you can do at your own pace now over the course of 3 months. Initially, it was over the course of 10 days, but then when the season kicked in and that wasn't working out, so it's over the course of 3 months. Instead of having a huge test at the end of it, Jeff, what I did was make short quizzes after each module. Okay. And then, so you do 10 questions on the module you just went through, then you go to the next module, and then that way it's just right there in the front of your mind. But I wanted it to be so it could be done at your own pace, so that way it was easier for you to commit to memory. And that's the reason behind the course. And of course, this has its own page as well. I don't know why that's extremely clear at the top. Oh, there we go. We know this guy, right? Jerry Wallace. He went through the class. He was the one who told me point blank, Rudy, this is not a beginner class. He said, you need to go ahead and let people know. And right here, we have a pro level class with me, but it's a pro level class. We need to let people know right off the bat, this is not for your new hires. This is for folks who have been in the industry for a while, because what I do is take information and things that we should have experience with, and I aim it all and twist it all and configure it all so it's all one huge lesson in algae prevention and elimination. But there's so many different factors that, you know, we might not consider. So it does get a little tough. I'm not going to lie. It's a tough test. So, but you wouldn't know that because you haven't taken it. So we can scroll down.
But you said it was a tough test. That means I have to take it. So it's going to be here soon. I'll have to
now,
sign up.
It will be there. Here are the different sessions. So I start with think outside the pool. I want to talk about the environment and environmental factors that can lead to different types of algae growth. The pool detective. These are really the way that I look at things and the way that I handled every pool out in the field. It doesn't mean that you have to do it this way. It's tips and hacks and things like that, and just knowledge that I've acquired over 30 years, and I just want to share it, and you can pick and choose from it. But the point is, once you go through the class, and I've shared all of this with you, and then you become, you know, a certified algae specialist, and you can brag about that and boast about it. And then I have some pictures, some cool pictures here of stuff that, you know.
And then next time you go live with Rudy, he doesn't pick on you because you haven't taken the class.
I haven't picked on anyone. You brought it up. So anyways, these are some pictures here that we've taken out of the field on different things, some that I've scoffed from other places. But right now, that's mustard algae, diatoms. Did you know that diatomaceous earth is actually prehistoric mustard algae?
Okay, you threw me with the mustard algae.
Say again?
I was with you until prehistoric. I didn't realize that you were going to head with
dinosaurs.
Mustard algae.
Million-year-old mustard algae. That's what that stuff is. So green algae we have over here. This is also, this was from a swimming pool. This was one of, was my first? No, this was my third batch of pictures. This is from a swimming pool. This is what the sucker that is known to be toxin producing. If you want to find out how toxic it is, that of course is in the book. I can't really tell you the, you know, how the story ends. It ruins the whole thing. But there's a little bit of a cost to this one. And the reason for that is, you know what? There's 3 years of research that went into this project. And also this platform, it, you know, costs money to put out there, so I can put out the other free classes as well. So there's that. There's Mr. John Poma. We all know John. Is probably my favorite picture right there he sent to us, sitting there. And there's a lot of other cool pictures as well of folks, you know, showing the book off in front of green water, blue water, what have you. Anyway, so that's where we're at with that. So what are your thoughts on it? I mean, this is a focused class. There's not a lot of focused classes out there in the industry. A lot of the classes that we have in the industry are, you know, cover A to Z, a little bit of everything, right? You learn about filters, pumps, this, that, chemistry, water balance, all of those things, how they pertain to everything. What do you think about the idea of a focused class, just focusing 100%, maybe using some of those items, but 100% on how it can be applied to making conditions unfavorable for algae to grow, and then eliminating it if it should get established?
That was
I mean,
a lot.
it should be, I mean, not just on algae, I mean, on anything in the industry, right?
Yeah, focus classes. I personally, I think they're critical. I think they would be critical. They haven't really been available, you know. I'm not going to talk about any or name any specific class.
Don't. I'm not asking
because, but there's broad stroke, kind of like you said. There's broad stroke classes where, you know, you learn a lot. And I've done this. I've taken an employee 10 years ago, 8, 9 years ago, and just dumped them in the middle of, hey, here's a bunch of classes, and you know, not quite that dramatic, but you know, hey, here's a bunch of classes. I want you to learn about this. They were excited to learn about it. Come out of the class and they're just kind of like, you know, I had no idea there was so much to the pool industry and so many different plants and so many different chemicals and so many different, you know, I mean, you go ask for a scale chemical and you know, there's 700 of them out there. So a focused class on starting with chemical, you know, how do you test the chemicals and what do they mean?
Well, I thought algae was probably one of the most widespread issues that we all deal with. I mean, that's one
Oh
of
yeah.
that's like huge. I mean, I know we want to prevent bacteria as well, but to be honest with you, it's easier to kill bacteria than it is to kill algae. So if you're actually killing algae, you're probably doing a pretty good job with the bacteria. I mean, to confirm it, you'd have to test and all that good stuff. So I'm not going to say it's like kind of like how the Lysol bottle says it kills 99.9% of everything. So just in case somebody gets sick, but you know,
really, actually, they only let them put 99.99. They can't put 0.999%.
no, because it gets too close.
Right.
So we have that. All right. So we talked about my book. If you're interested in picking it up, I actually have another one that's coming out shortly. It's going to be a different version of that. It'll be a surprise. So, but coming out shortly. But we talked about the book. So let's see if I have any better luck making it not invisible. I find if you hold things in front of yourself, because if you go like, oh, look, I'm doing okay. It's just something with your screen. So apparently it's a disappearing book. If you want the book to disappear, show him Jeff. Jeff has like skills. There you go. So you can hide behind it in a cloak of invisibility, which is super cool. But here's the book. It's a bunch of pages. There's a lot of cool different stuff in it, right? Lots of pictures and things. Then also, so that's available on Amazon. If you want to take the class, it's poolclass.teachable.com. poolclass.teachable.com. So with that right now, we're going to, it's 4 minutes early, but I think we have Steve Jones with us. Steve, are you here?